So this is the dashboard. You log in and you can guide through what the system does. Like what we mentioned, it's REST-based, or it can connect into SSH or terminal services. So it's got SMIS connections as well. But for the interest of time, what we'll do is we'll just quickly jump into a small little demo. I'm going to log into my vCenter environment. And the use case that we have here is for a VMware administrator to be able to provision these active volumes. So normally this is something that will be done by the storage administrator. It's creating volumes on the one side, creating volumes on the other side, and linking them together and creating this replication link. But because this is a repeatable task, we can take it and we can automate it into a service template, and we can provide it for like a business unit. So in this use case, it's for VMware, but I mean, this can be expanded to, let's say, Oracle or SQL or whatever application you want to use on top of it. So we'll log in as an operator user. So within, we have users and groups, and for the users, we also have different permissions. And we can combine these users into specific infrastructure as well. So for this user, it only has access to 2 service templates because it belongs to a specific service group, and he can go and execute this template. This will then provision a volume. So with a single click, he is able to provision a volume which is of capacity 500 gig, and this would be the LDAP ID. We can also give administrators for those business units. So here I'm logging in as a VMware admin user. And as you can see, he already has a little bit more options available to him. As well as on the service templates, he has the ability to edit them as well. So I'm going to edit the service template. And now he can manipulate the input properties for the specific service template. And what I'm showing you now is just a really basic service template. And with the next demo, we'll progress into a more complex service template. So this user can say, you know what, I want my LDAP IDs for my division to actually start off at that. But you know what, I don't want my users to see this. It should be hidden, and their default capacity that they should have immediately available should be a terabyte. So when he saves and closes this, and if the operator of the group then executes that same service template, immediately the changes are applied, and he can now, with a single click, go and provision a active volume between 2 ESX servers from the storage array. I'll just quickly take you through the workflow. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but these are called flow plugins. So the first one is to get the LAN alignment correct. So this is a requirement for ESX. The LAN IDs have to be correct and able to create a stretch metro cluster data store. The second component is from a storage point of view. So this will create the volumes on both of the storage arrays. Do the global active device magic to be able to give you that active volume that's available on both sides, and then at the end it will create this remote replication group. Once this process is done, it will then talk into the vCenter API, figure out what those ESX servers are that we set for this user. It will instruct the ESX servers to rescan to pick up this new volume that was presented by the previous step. And then it will speak to vCenter and say, okay, create a data store on top of that new volume. After that, it will end up with an email confirmation to say, the volume has been created, this is the details, you should have this volume now available in your vCenter landscape. So this is now a typical example of how a user, a business unit, is now able to consume one of the service templates that we've made available, and he's only able to consume the service template because of the infrastructure group that we've associated to it. So that means the underlying switches or storage servers and the services group that we've assigned him access to. And he only has execute permissions, and as we saw with the admin, they've got a little bit more permissions that they are able to manipulate the input properties for these service templates. And what makes this platform quite unique is that it's not a framework, so it's not just a shell that you have to go and configure everything from the word scratch. You get provided with a bunch of service templates that are already available. And if you need to create a service template, all you need to do is you can actually just cherry pick and do a little bit of plagiarism and copy a little bit from this service template, copy a little bit from that service template, copy a little bit from that service template to create your own service templates. Also, each one of these service templates is completely customizable. You can customize every component thereof. And what you do is, once you want to make changes to it, you basically create a new version of it. You can either then choose to rename it or just up the version as you see with the versioning, but you are able to customize it completely from end to end. The system admin user, as well as everybody, can follow the tasks as they are progressing. So here we can see our GAD task that is happening, and it's on the process of creating the data store now. And it also has detailed logging where you can drill down and see exactly what is happening on the back end. So this is from the system user. So only people with appropriate resources obviously can view this. So obviously this is a platform, like we've mentioned, is an API platform connecting out, but it will also support other applications connecting in. So we realized that, obviously there's other applications like VRO, VRA, VMware is, fantastic with, on a VMware landscape, but if they need to make use of more infrastructure automation, which is more complex for them, then they would rely on a tool like this to connect into Automation Director and execute some of the service templates that we have baked in already for provisioning storage, configuring zones on switches, and so forth. So, see how far this one is. Should finish now anytime soon. So they've created the data store, and now we should get an email notification very soon.
Yeah, one thing that our customer really like is the visual diagnostics of the workflow. Again, something like that I think is going to provide a good way to kind of do auditing and also just troubleshooting in case anything goes wrong.
And here we got a notification to say the volume has now been created. This is the details of the data store. That's the path on the ESX platform, and this is the capacity with the LDEV IDs that it used on the storage array. So now if we go to our vCenter environment, we can already see that this is now available on that ESX environment. There's the terabyte VMware GAD 2008 data store that we've just created. And let's say 6 months down the line, if the user needs to expand it, you can literally just click on the expand service template. And again, like we mentioned, this is a really basic service template with only a couple of input properties. So he's able to select the data store, the capacity. He can maybe change the notification details. And also you can choose to schedule this. You can either run it immediately, schedule it at a specific time in future, or if it makes sense, run it as a reoccurrence. You as the system user or the business unit admin, like the VMware administrator, can also restrict this to say that my users can only schedule it immediately. So here we can now select the data store that we've just created, the VMware GAD 2008, and we can say let's expand it by another terabyte. Submit, view task. And here we can now see, go through a similar process. This will expand the volumes on the one side, reset the replication group, then rescan the ESX nodes to pick up the new device, to make sure it picks up the new characteristics of the device, then it expands the extent, and then expands the VMFS file system. And then again, it ends off with an email confirmation to say, yes, this job has now been done, and this is the details for the expansion of this data store.
Hey, Johnny, in the interest of time, Johnny, we probably want to move over to the ServiceNow demo.
Okay, yeah, great. So obviously this is now connecting into, from our automation platform into our CM REST or into vCenter API, but obviously we also support connections from other applications connecting inwards. So we've got this demo. I'm just going to quickly start this up, which is we name it our golf course demo, where the user sits on the golf course, like all storage admins normally do, and they are busy playing around a golf. He gets an email notification that he requires additional capacity for this VMware data store, or he requires additional capacity on this cluster, so he needs to provision a new data store. So he can then, from his phone, pop open his ServiceNow application, go into his service catalog,
scroll through the 27,000 services on his phone.
Luckily, I only have a couple. So he chooses his GAD provisioning service template, and he chooses the capacity, add to cart, and then he can go and check this out. So what's happening now is from his phone he was able to, to submit a request to the cloud-based portal of ServiceNow. In the meantime, he'll get step-by-step notifications from his phone as to when the cloud-based portal has received the notification. Has it been stage 1 been approved? Obviously, then it will get logged by the administrator. He will take it to change control, and once it's been approved, then it will connect to the automation platform, and it will trigger that service template that I've just showed you for provisioning a GAD volume. It will trigger the exact same one, but obviously now this is going through change control.
So are there,
At this point,
is there like a library of these sorts of templates that are available to customers to download, or how does that work?
so it comes with the platform. On a quarterly basis, we provide you with newer versions or with additional service templates. So the ones for like ServiceNow, it was requested on our community page by customers a couple of times, and because it was a frequent request, it's now part of the product. So the engineering, they are responsible to respond to these requests, as well as if they find something like that, which can be nice and repeatable, then it becomes part of the product.
Yeah, the library
So
is shipped with the product. Sorry, Johnny. It shipped with the product also in our support portal as well. And as Johnny mentioned, the community page has the open source version.
Yes, he likes Johnny. Johnny always helps him out, so he's going to approve his request. So at this point now, ServiceNow is issuing a REST call into my automation platform on that architecture, and then calls that specific service template and passes the parameters required for the service template to kick off. So literally from the phone, the user will now get a notification to say, yes, your request has now been approved and it is now being processed. And a little bit later, you can log into the automation platform and you can see it's then busy executing the task. So I can quickly do that now. And the task. And there is the request that has now been issued by the user from his phone. So once this is done, he will get a notification on his phone. Great, you can now continue around our golf. A new data store has been provisioned for this cluster. We also have service templates for cloning of Oracle databases. So this is for a DevOps sort of environment, for duplicating your environment. Obviously, I have this available in Automation Director, but I've also made it available in ServiceNow. So he fires up the clone Oracle database service template. He gives it a name. All right. Wait. Add it to the cart. So same process applies. This is obviously just normal ServiceNow. So what this service template will do is it will actually go and first provision a new VM. This it does via talking to vCenter, the vCenter API, and it will provision a new VM based on a template. Once the template, let's just go first check. Okay, there's the request. Says okay, approves the request. Clone Oracle database. So there it kicks off. So this will first provision a template, a VM from a template, which is a Oracle. Obviously, in our environment, we are running Oracle on a Linux environment. So this provisions an Oracle Linux 7.4. Then once this is done, it will install Oracle ASM, the Oracle ASM binaries. It will then also configure the Oracle ASM for a single instance. Then it will install just the binaries itself, the Oracle binaries. After this, it will install HDID. So HDID is our data instance director. This is what we use for enterprise data copy management, so interfacing with our arrays and applications to be able to do application consistent snapshots. So, also via VMware or bare metal or Oracle or SQL or SAP HANA or Exchange. So this will install the HDID clients on this brand new VM. Once that is done, it will then authorize this new HDID, a VM inside the HDID master server. Then it will instruct the HDIT master server to create a snapshot of the production database. After that, it will figure out from the ESX point of view, from vCenter, okay, where is this VM located? It then will talk to the storage array via the CM REST API to the storage array to find out where these ESX ports are located on the storage array front-end ports, and then HDIT will go further, Data Instance Director will go further, and it will take the snapshot from the storage array and it will actually mount it inside the VM. Once the volumes are mounted inside the VM, further on, because of the HDIT policy that we have on the back end, it will actually talk to the recovery man, so RMAN, which is the instance or the backup instance of the database, and it will actually tell it to bring forward whatever transaction logs are available for this production database and bring it up to the latest logs. So this is an end-to-end interfacing with VMware, interfacing with the storage, interfacing with our Data Instance Director, and also interfacing, obviously, with Oracle as well.
Cool. So thanks, Johnny, for that. I think the takeaway here is that automation is kind of the glue that kind of connects all the, I would say, from Hitachi and Amplify out to our ecosystems, our own products and partner systems to kind of make that easier. Whatever we build, I like Howard's analogy of a plumber. So we kind of relay the pipes, we pour the concrete. Before maybe hire different people, now we have a prefab setting. So you can take the prefab, just lower it down, and then somebody can go to the rest of, maybe build an apartment and your tenants on top of that for the cloud, right? So I think where we provide value is not the Hitachi piece, and branching out where a lot of customers see value in, especially a lot of the 20% of customers who have large systems who want to make this as efficient and up quickly as possible.
Yeah, well, if you think of that one step that actually handled all those steps in a rapidly changing environment, it's right. You can't keep up without some level of automating all those resets, put out the data protection. So the best we can do to simplify that makes it life much easier. So.